Their son Michael traveled the world before settling down in Bellevue, Washington. During their travels, they had the opportunity to visit Bangkok, Thailand, home to tens of thousands of Vietnamese refugees. While in Bangkok, they met with U.S. officials to discuss the POW issue and visited the refugee camps in search of information on our missing men. Her private effort went public in June of 1990 when she joined the POW MIA families from World War II, Korea, Cold War, and the war in Southeast Asia to form the National Alliance of Families. In what can only be described as an uphill battle, Dolores made the Alliance a respected and honest advocate for our missing men and their families. Over 20 years prior to her passing, she dedicated her life to our unaccounted for servicemen. She traveled the country for speeches, giving speeches. She met with presidents and officials of the former Soviet Union and North Korea in search of information on our POWs and MIAs. During her trips to Washington, D.C., Dolores spent hours visiting congressmen, advocating for the missing. Over the years, she testified before various congressional committees. When it came to dealing with the Defense POW MIA office, she never flinched. Within the Alliance leadership, we called her the fearless leader. She made it her life's work to bring the issue of our POWs and MIAs to the public and hold Washington accountable for their return. Her efforts took several interesting turns. Protesting the plan to lift the trade embargo against Vietnam, Dolores joined with POW MIA family members Ann Holland, as you know, wife of Tech Sergeant Melvin Holland, Kathy Bora, sister of Lieutenant Dan Bora, and Vietnam vet Jerry Birch, for a 30-day prayer, fast, and vigil. Spending their days in a bamboo cage, the four existed on the POW diet of rice and vegetables. During their 30 days in the cage, they had many notable visitors, including longtime POW MIA activist, excuse me, H. Ross Perot. In 1996, in an effort to open a dialogue with North Korea on the issue of Korean War POWs and MIAs, Dolores agreed to host the North Vietnam's United Nations delegation at the Summer Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia. With the help of Atlanta resident Jean Fallon, wife of POW MIA Patrick Fallon, they welcomed the North Koreans into Jean's home, with Dolores and Jean providing the cooking and cleaning. And you'll have to ask Ann and Glenn for some of those special moments. Dolores made things happen. In 1997, officials from the government's Defense POW office invited her and then uninvited her to a government-sponsored meeting with the North Korean delegation in New York City. After several phone conversations with representatives of DPMO, they told her the North Koreans did not want her at the meeting. This was simply not true, and we knew it. Getting nowhere with DPMO, Dolores ended her conversation by simply saying, "If I'm not invited to your meeting, I'll have a private meeting of my own." And that's exactly what she did. 2 days before the official meeting, Dolores met with the North Korean delegation in New York. Dolores worked tirelessly for the return of our POWs and MIAs. Even in her last days, she continued to ask in conversations with our research director, what can we do to get the POW MIA issue moving again? Or what's happening with House Resolution 111, a piece of legislation supported by the Alliance. She never gave up her hope that one day an American POW would return from Southeast Asia, North Korea, China, or the former Soviet Union. That one day the truth would be known. And I have to add just personally that I'm very happy that one day came with the return of Roberto. As the Bible says in John 8:32, ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I just want to give you a little history of our sister's my sister, our fearless leader with the Alliance over the past 25 years. Thank you, and welcome to our 25th Forum.